Well, there was a woman named Yolanda Spivey, and she's not doing an experiment. She's out in New Jersey, but My Fox Houston covered this. Let's let them tell the first part of the story.
What Yolanda Spivey did, this black woman, she said she created a new name and profile page on a job search site.
You have to get up and
her
along
same
now.
experience in education,
So I can record this without you doing all this talking.
White and listed her race as white. Spivey says in the 3 years she's been an unemployed insurance rep and sending resumes, she hasn't received responses. She says Bianca immediately started receiving emails and phone calls from potential employers while her Yolanda profile sat mostly silent.
Well, is that just anecdotal, or does that happen all the time? Well, there's been a number of studies on it. One most often cited is from Princeton University, and the numbers are clear. When there are quote-unquote white names on a resume, they get positive responses 23% of the time. When it's a Latino name, only 19%. When it's a black name, 13%. That's just on name only. But it actually gets worse. White felons do better than blacks that have no criminal record whatsoever. White felons get a positive response 13% of the time. Latinos with no criminal record, 14%. Blacks with no criminal record, 10% of the time get a positive response. That is so disheartening to see. The person who helped find this story is one of our contributors, the professor, Tricia Rose from Brown University. She joins us now. And will you look at that? Yolanda Spivey is also with us. She's the one who did the experiment in the first place. Yolanda, great to have both of you guys here. Yolanda, let me start with you.
Yes.
Tell me specifically what you did here.
Well, basically, I created a duplicate profile on Monster.com, and I made up the name Bianca White, and I listed her as white because Monster has this questionnaire, this diversity questionnaire that they have on their website, and you have to fill out your race, your sex, and all that other good stuff. Anyhow, I listed her as white. I also kept my own profile, and I made both profiles public for 1 week, and Bianca White received all the phone calls.
So that's really interesting. Is it the same exact resume otherwise?
Same exact resume, same exact job experience, educational background, everything you can think of. Just change the name and phone number.
Let me get numbers if I can. How many callbacks did Bianca get, and how many did Yolanda get?
Okay, Bianca, I believe, received, I think 9 phone calls.
Wow.
And Yolanda received 2. Yes.
9
in a
to
week's
2.
time.
Okay.
Yes.
Did you go as Bianca anywhere and say, all right, I'll take the job?
No. No.
Now, Professor Rose.
Imagine me showing up.
Professor Rose, now Monster.com and other places say, hey, well, look, we don't share the ethnicity here, but, on the other hand, Yolanda is a, fairly normal African-American name. People are familiar with that, etc. I don't know how white Bianca is. I know you kind of picked that out of a hat, but is that what the difference here is? What's happening?
Well, I mean, the name is one small piece of the puzzle, but it's not the whole puzzle. I mean, obviously, with everything else being the same, and given some of the studies that show that people discriminate against black-sounding names, that makes it part of the puzzle. But the puzzle is much bigger than that, because, of course, Yolanda can't show up and be Yolanda. She can show up as Bianca White and say, I'm actually white, but they won't believe her, and they will, in fact, not hire her for the same reasons that the other studies show, which is that African Americans are simply turned away when they are equally qualified. In fact, white felons, as you noted, do better than black people who are equally qualified and do not have a felony record. So we're looking at a systemic process of significant racial discrimination. And Jane, here's what's important. This happens before there's any sort of on-the-job practice or an interview or any real conversation to vet the person. This is just on face value. And, I want to remind your viewers that this is the reality, but the story we hear is how lazy African Americans are and They don't want to work. They want to be dependent, I believe is the latest language, and they're looking for gifts all the time as part of this underclass. And so here you have the reason for the creation of the kind of joblessness, economic differences, and circumstances right here. It's right here.
And by the way, we've talked about this in the past together, Professor Rose, too, which is that there's all these horrible stereotypes. Blacks are more likely to be violent or criminal, etc. But then you've got a criminal felon white resume, and they're like, no, well, I'll take that one instead. So it's maddening. It's maddening.
Yeah.
Yolanda, what do you take away from this? And one part of it is obviously these conclusions we've been talking about, but on a personal level, what can you do about it?
Well, what I take away from it is that it's just proof that racism still exists in the job market. Black people, and not just black people, but minorities in general, are being discriminated against when, going for employment. So.
Often people ask me if I wanted to change my name, because it's Cenk Uygur and the C is pronounced like a J. It's a nightmare, right? If you're going to be in the media, right? And I never changed it, and I don't, and I don't know, I feel proud of my name and I don't want to change it. But when you look at something like this, Yolanda, do you think, well, look, my name apparently is holding me back. It's totally wrong. It's totally unfair. Does it make you think, hey, I wonder if I should change my name to Bianca or something else?
Never. I am proud of my name. My mama named me, so I'm proud of my name. So I would never change my name for anyone.
Go ahead, Professor.
I love that. And that's really important because a lot of people really don't understand how important it is to be true to yourself and to honor yourself. Right. Because, frankly, the name is not going to change the reality of the job experience when the interview happens. So Yolanda should walk around proud and happy to be Yolanda in all her full glory. And we need to change the system so that everyone has a genuine fighting chance to do the proper job that everyone wants to do.
I agree with you guys, and we need to change the system so that talk show hosts named Cenk with a C have just as much a good chance as anyone else in this country. All right, no, thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And it's an amazing story. And Yolanda, thanks for doing the experiment.
Thank you.
It taught all of us a lot. All right.
Yeah.